Hey guys, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Wes Logan here, and we're talking about one of my favorite ways to bass fish, and it's fishing grass. And this time we're going to be talking about the spring time of the year, and when I say spring, it's going to be March to May, I would say, even to the end of May in some parts of the country. If you're way up north or way out west, it's kind of hard for me to relate to that because I've never fished out there or up there that time of year. But generalized speaking is going to be from March to the end of May. And like everybody knows, it's the bass rut. It's when they're up there wanting to get up real shallow. Most of the fish in the lake are getting on the bank to do the spawning process. It's a really fun time to fish. It's when most of your people are going to be out there bass fishing. But just to be able to dissect, the different types of grass and different baits to use, that's kind of what I'm going to break down here, or how I like to do it and what I've had a lot of success doing. So let's just start off. We're in the springtime. The bass are wanting to spawn. Most of the lakes, if you've been in a drawdown stage, have come up, or the water's rising anyway. And I'm just going to make Guntersville an example because everybody knows Guntersville's famous for grass. It has a lot of different types of grass. So there's two different approaches that I take with it. You can fish the offshore stuff that is technically, it's offshore, but it's not deep. You can be fishing the milfoil and the hydrilla mixed that's in 3 to 6 foot of water, or you can fish the primrose, the water willow, any kind of bank grass that it has to offer that is in 2 foot and less. So there, like I said, there's two different approaches to that. I'm gonna start with fishing the offshore stuff, and then we'll mention about the actual bank grass a little bit and talk about the baits with that. The offshore stuff, when they're trying to spawn, I really like, because the grass is starting to, it hadn't got hot enough to actually top out, but you're gonna start seeing clumps of it everywhere, especially on those big flats. And you'll start seeing holes in the grass, and basically what those holes are is the fish trying to make a bed. You may not be able to see down into it, and if you start trolling around and you troll over a hole, you'll look down, there may be a fish in it, but if the hole's 4 foot deep, you're never gonna know he's there. So one way that I really like to, attack those situations is a really light Texas rig, just some type of stick bait. Excuse me. A Zoom's Linky's really good. A Zoom's normal size speed worm I really like a lot. I throw it on a 1/4 ounce weight with a 3/0 Gamakatsu finesse heavy cover worm hook. Nothing really overpowering. I throw it on 20-pound Sunline shooter. 7/4 heavy rod. Just kind of plinking around in the holes, and you'll catch some bucks, you'll catch some smaller fish, but you do it long enough, you're going to run into a really good fish most of the time, especially if you get in a good area. And they'll kind of let you know pretty quick, especially in that hole type pattern, because they're kind of aggressive, especially if you stay off of them and they don't know you're there. Like they're going to be biting anything that comes anywhere near them in that situation. One that I don't have out here that's another good one is a Wacky rig. You can cover a lot of water with it, and just when you're throwing a Wacky rig in that situation, you just want to throw at anything that looks different. It may be a thicker clump. You want to throw on all sides of it. They may be tucked up in there, like a staging female or a post-spawn female that slid out there and resting. I really like that. Another good way to target that grass out there is a swim jig. I have it right here, and this is where I'm going to be like throwing it around those clumps that you can actually see with your eyes, visually see with your eyes. I'll throw a lot of times the Zoom Super Speed Crawl, just because I can keep it up in the water column a lot easier with this 5/16 ounce jig. It just kind of flutters right there, and I get it to one of those clumps and I'll flutter it by it and kind of kill it in front of it, and it really gets some really big bites doing that. Truthfully, I have a black and blue one tied on here, and that time of year, that's probably the only one I'm gonna throw. I get a lot of big bites on it. I have a lot of confidence in it. And a lot of people tend to want to throw a white one or that time of year, and I'm not really sure why. You can get some bites on it, don't get me wrong, but in a tournament situation, if I'm in a pressured situation, I'm definitely going to be using the black and blue. Just feel like it may not get quite as many bites, but I'll get a lot better quality. So black and blue on that swim jig, definitely around the clumps. Another rod I got laying here I just thought of is a buzzbait. Cover a lot of water with this too. And this bait may not catch all the fish for you in that situation, but it's going to show you a lot of fish. Like they may come up, like just show themselves and go back down, and that's when you're going to go back and throw that Wacky rig or pitch that light Texas rig back to where you saw that fish come from and go back to, because it's more than likely on a bed or trying to do the spawning process. So that's a really good cover bait, covering water bait is what I mean as far as just locating bass. To transition to the actual bank grass, to talk about it for a minute, they're gonna be like I like to focus on the irregularities in it, kind of like the offshore, the hydrilla milfoil stuff, but it's going to be a lot more obvious to you. You'll see the points and you'll see the little matted up places, and then you'll see the holes kind of behind it or in it. That's where I like to focus. Definitely like a Wacky rig on that. The light Texas rig is also good. The buzzbait's good. The swim jig's great. It's kind of just pick your poison when it comes to that, because number one, you're either going to get them to show themselves like I talked about with the buzzbait, and you'll be able to go back and slow down or actually find where they're at on the bed, or you're actually going to go get those fish to commit. A lot of times when you're throwing moving baits up there in that bank grass and you have a fish commit, a lot of times it's going to be your females, just because if you can get them in the right mood, they're very aggressive, they're very protective, and it also, like I said, it will show you the fish if they're actually in, they're paired up. If they're not really wanting to bite, they're just kind of being defensive of the bed. So you can kind of come back, slow down. Colors are kind of the same. It's relative because it could be all water dependent. If the water's crystal clear, you obviously don't want to be throwing a solid white one dinner plate, or you would probably go to more of a natural, like a green pumpkin or a Brent bluegill color, kind of stuff just like that. But it's when you're really going to be looking for them spawning. Again, not trying to sound like a broken record, but it's just that's where they like to spawn, is in that shallow grass that time of year. So transitioning from that very end of spring, and we'll talk. I'm going to have another video that talks about summertime. You're going to start seeing a shad spawn in that grass, but that's going to be the very tail end of the spring, when you get that water temperature up to around, the stabilizing at 70 in the mornings, and going up to the 80s during the day. That's when you really want to start focusing on like hard lines and fish where they're leaving the bank and worrying about where they're going to do their summertime deal. But that's going to be a late spring situation, and that'll be a vibrating jig, shad color, and a white swim jig, or a more of a natural glimmer blue type color. But that's basically, that's the whole breakdown on the springtime grass fishing. It's a really fun time to fish. You're going to get a lot of bites. You're going to see a lot of fish. It's a fun time to fish because of the way you get to catch them. A lot of it's very interactive. Like, you see it happening. You see one up there, you throw to him, he runs over there and eats your stuff. You don't get that opportunity a lot in fishing. So it's a great time of the year to get out on the water, and hopefully you can use some of these tips to your advantage and catch some really big ones.